Begin with all the stories that are making the headlines today. After a late-night meeting with Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Manohar Parrikar agrees to move to Delhi. Sources say he could be the next defence minister. Third front leaders meet at Mulayam Singh Yadav's house, strategize on the upcoming winter session of Parliament. It's the big black money letdown. 289 foreign accounts have zero balance. More than 100 are repeat names. This is a Headlines Today exclusive. In a bid to emerge from Shiromani Akali Dal's shadow in Punjab, the BJP hints it may go it alone in the next state elections. 4 minors raped in the past 2 months, but Karnataka's Home Minister says media reports these cases. Professor Raghvendra Jha is assisting the special investigation team into the black money probe. This is the first report of the special investigating team on black money. August 2014, Justice M.B. Shah is the chairman and Justice Arijit Pasayat is the vice chairman, and they are now being assisted by Professor Raghvendra Jha. He's with the Australian National University and is assisting the SIT. They came across certain findings in his research that was very curious, and they've asked him to assist the SIT. The SIT chairman and the vice chairman desired that the Director General of Foreign Trade contact Professor Jha and access the data related to black money. How data relates to how companies misrepresent sales, purchases, and also how black money is parked in tax havens. Professor Jha's research finds that mammoth amounts are being taken out of India. His report reveals since 2004, the modus operandi is misinvoicing, and that suddenly increased post 2004. This resulted in generation of huge sums of black money. And Professor Jha joins us on the broadcast. Also with me is the man who broke this story. Headlines Today is Ashish Maharshi and our National Affairs editor Javed Ansari for a political perspective on the story. But Professor Jha, I want to come to you first, sir. Your name finds a mention in this SIT report submitted to the Supreme Court. It's interesting you're helping to unearth black money. What have your findings been on this case, sir?
Let me tell you what the major findings are. I have computed trade misinvoicing in India from 1988 to 2012, and using these two data sources, and I have found that the outflow from the Indian economy on account of trade misinvoicing has been quite large. It was subdued in the 80s and 90s. In fact, there was an odd year of inflow as well. So it's not always outflow. But starting in about 2004, there was a huge, or maybe even 2004, there was a huge acceleration in the extent of trade misinvoicing. And in 2008, it reached almost $40 billion just for 1 year. It has come down a little bit since then, till about 2012. And I've estimated that the cumulative total between 1988 to 2012 is in excess of 186 billion US dollars, which is a lot of money.
$186 billion flew out of India in this decade. Where did that money go? Why is that money missing? Ashish, you've been tracking the story very closely. You also have a question for Professor Jha.
No, Gaurav, I would like to ask Professor Jha. He's talked about misinvoicing in his paper, and especially when he's assisting the SIT, he's talked about this concept of misinvoicing, and it has got huge impact on economy. Professor Jha, if you can just elaborate on how it is impacting our Indian economy.
What I can say is that that's the second part of my paper, which is that this amount that I have calculated has very serious effects on the economy. It has affected India's ability to combat inflation. It has increased the risk premium that is attached to the Indian rupee. And it has basically affected India's growth prospects. So it has had fairly serious deleterious impacts on the Indian economy. So it's not just a question of money leaving the country, but its economic consequences are serious.
Professor Jha, we would also like to know, the document that is in our possession. It shows that the chairman and the vice chairman of the SIT, they have asked you to get in touch. In fact, the DGFT has been asked to get in touch with you. Have they got in touch with you? And have you revealed anything, any information that you have shared with them?
Well, I think that is confidential. So I have my work is publicly available, but what my communication with these with SIT is, I think, private confidential information. I can't share that.
Stay with us for a moment, Professor Jha, but this outflow and the timing of outflow that you speak of, let me try and get Ashish Maharshi and Javed, tell us a little more about this. Outflow started, it reached mammoth proportions, the professor says, between 2004 is when it started, 2008 it reached $40 million. So why this period? Why this period? Ashish?
Well, in fact, if you see 2004, between 2004 and 2008, Gaurav, it has been, a number of scams have been seen. And we have also seen, huge amount of cash outflow and inflow. A number of transactions of exports and imports have been seen. Now here, as Professor Jha says, there is misinvoicing. It means either you are showing your sales and purchases at a higher price or at a lower price. And the transaction money that we are talking about, you take a part in check, that is through the transaction through the banking channel, and the rest you take in cash, either any other tax haven or any other country. So this is a very, very important thing. This is the modus operandi which has been used year by year. And Professor Jha would also elaborate, if he can, that there is a company-wise data where we show that the data of Germany of exports will not match with the Indian data of imports, and Indian data of exports will not show will not be as good as similar to the German imports. Okay. So there is a mismatch of data as well.
Okay, Javed, so much money flowing out of India year after year. Professor Jha has tabulated it. We have some of those figures. Every year, $34,393 million flowing out of this country. Where is that money today? This report doesn't seem to know that.
Well, indeed. And if these figures are correct, then where has that money gone? That money should be somewhere. Either that money has been shifted to some other accounts which we don't know of, or perhaps these figures, these politicians have miscalculated, and the figures that they were citing were mind-boggling. Baba Ramdev and the then oppositions spoke of 500, what was the figure? 5 lakh.
Everybody, that is what they said, that 15 lakhs will be in everyone's account. Yeah. But taking the argument of Javed's forward, the big question is, the report shows, the SIT report shows that out of 628 names, 289 names have got no balance in their accounts, and 122 are repeat entries. Now, what are we investigating? 217 accounts, and out of those 217, there might be many NRI accounts.
But this is one list we're talking about. This is just one list that we're talking about at this stage that is under investigation. Ashish, am I right?
Yes, very true. Because in fact, my sources in the Ministry of Finance have confirmed in the past that there are other lists as well. But surprisingly, those lists have not been shared with the SIT. The SIT, according to the first report and according to the interview, if I had done the interview with Justice M.B. Shah, and he said that if there is any other list, please share it with me.
Exactly.
So it is very surprising if there is any list, because our sources have confirmed that in the past in the Ministry of Finance. But then is that list being shared with the SIT? That's a big question mark.
Or is there reluctance to share that list? That's one part of the question, and I want to come back to Javed for more on that. But before that, for a moment, Professor Jha, you're in touch with the Supreme Court monitored SIT. Are you also in touch? Any other agency in Government of India, are they in touch with you, sir? Whether it's the Income Tax Department or the CBI?
Well, I have got requests from various agencies in India, and all I have indicated to them is that my work is out in the public domain for anybody to see and examine. All the sources are clearly laid out, and therefore there is nothing secretive about this.
Okay, we'll keep coming back to you, Professor Jha. If I come to the political aspect of this story, when the BJP was in opposition, they raised a hue and cry about black money stashed abroad. Not just the BJP, Yog Guru Baba Ramdev spoke about it. But where is that money today? This list clearly does not seem to have those names, Ashish. Specific accounts are 339, no amount against 289, and repeat entries are 122. So this is perhaps just the tip of the iceberg. This is perhaps just one list. Is the government reluctant to share the other lists with the SIT?
Gaurav, there are two aspects to it. One, when this list came to India, we have to see whether this list was actually like this, because usually when the list is shared, the name corresponds with the figure corresponds with the name. How is it possible that a name is shared but the amount is not there? How come other accounts like 300 odd accounts have got figures and 289 do not have figures against them? This is a very big question and needs to be investigated as well.
Yeah. And Javed, if we were to talk about former Law Minister Ram Jethmalani, he's also put not just the previous Manmohan Singh government in the dock, but the current government in the dock, also asking the question, when Swiss banks are willing to share information, when Liechtenstein Bank is willing to share information, why is that information not being sought by the government?
Look, the government says, the government cites the confidentiality clause, saying that if we do share these names, then we will be breaching the treaty that we've signed with foreign governments, and this is not the done thing. But the other pertinent question also is that, I also interviewed Justice Shah, and Justice Shah told me that the names that he has do not contain, the list that he has does not contain the name of any politician, whether from the ruling party or the opposition. Well, in that case, then what happens to this huge propaganda which was led by Prime Minister Modi as the prime ministerial candidate of the BJP and the likes of Baba Ramdev? They were day in and day out, they were leveling charges, they were naming people. Now what happens to that? Don't they owe the nation an explanation? Okay. Was this just pure bombast? Was this just pure propaganda, and if there is substance to it, why don't they substantiate it?
The other portion, was it just propaganda, or as Professor Jha also in his findings and this interim report that's been submitted to the Supreme Court also talks about capital outflow since 2002 has been $3,43,922 million. So is there a lot of money, the government hasn't been able to find it, or is there reluctance to find that money?
I believe, you need a will to find out where the money is. Now, if you see the DTAs that have been signed by the government of India, the report says they're absolutely absurd, because if you can't share the data with other investigative agencies where they can find if there is a predicate offense or not, whether they can find out how the money landed abroad, whether it is a hawala transaction, whether it is laundered money, or what sort of money it is. If that cannot be investigated by CBI or ED, then what is the use of these DTAs? And they have questioned the way CBDT has functioned in this report. If you go through the report, they said the government should go back and renegotiate and add provisions so that the data can be shared with other agencies. So this is an important report where they say that there is a doubt on the way this government in the past and the current government are working, because they are using this DTAs as a cushion.
Yes.
So this needs to be amended, and the provisions as desired by this SIT, Justice Shah and Justice MB Shah and Justice Pasayat, these provisions needs to be added. Now this is very, very important.
What does the government intend to do about it? Do we have any information information, does the government intend to renegotiate these deals or go without, violate these deals? If it's Indian money, you bring that money back, deal or no deal?
No, Gaurav, the last take of Arun Jaitley, the finance minister, has been that if you disclose the data, then it will sabotage the entire investigation. Now, forget about this investigation. We have seen what investigation it is. Why can't the government go renegotiate, add provisions, take data? Now, if you go through the last page of this report, Gaurav, which is in your hand, it says the government need instructions to go to Germany and take data. The Germans are willing to give you data since 2011 and it's 2014, and the government is not willing to take the data from Germany. Now, what sort of an investigation is this?
Absolutely, and we'll track that story very, very closely. These are questions that we will put to Finance Minister Arun Jaitley. Ram Jethmalani's letter raises some very pertinent points, and this black money report, there'll be much more on this report here on Headlines Today. For the moment, I'd like to thank all my guests for being a part of the broadcast.